So this is Michael Lean with Restart, and we are going to be doing a drawing from the ArtSnacks Plus Challenge or ArtSnacks Challenge, June 2020. And as you can see, I was really struggling. Okay, let me just put it out there. It was freaking hot outside where I usually record, and I was like, all right, I'm going to figure out how to do it in my house. It was not that easy because I don't have a studio right now. Hopefully I will be building one soon, so I kind of just travel. With the colors that I got, we had like some yellows, a couple blues, green. If you watch the video of me doing the ArtSnacks opening, box opening, you'll see the colors and the pastels and the things, and I'll list them below as well, that I'm using. The first thing I did was decide to do a peacock. Ironically enough, my daughter had dressed up like a peacock that day, and I was like, oh, okay, playing dress up, whatever. She comes out in this peacock garb, and I was like, all right, I think I'm going to do a peacock. The problem was I didn't really have the colors that I needed, but I knew I could mix them and get to the colors. And I know one thing about pastels, even though I don't use them, and that is that you layer them, right? Like any painting or whatever. So the first thing I did was draw out the zebra. Just draw the peacock using the zebra. I just like saying zebra. It's a zebra pencil. It came with the ArtSnacks box, and I did it on this is the Black Van Gogh watercolor paper. Then you'll see me go through an outline with the lightest. I got the warm yellow pastels by Rembrandt, and they are really, really nice on this paper. That being said, like I said, I've never done pastels before, so I learned a lot doing this. Anyhow, I had the chamois, and I used that to kind of clean up after myself because, of course, these lighter colors on black were slightly messy. I also kind of learned some things as I was doing it, and originally did this inside to get kind of a glowy effect, but it didn't work as well as I had hoped, so I ended up getting rid of that later. But anyhow, it worked out because I had a black, what is it called, Fube calligraphy marker that I needed to use, and it kind of worked out. So anyhow, I used the pastels. This is the pastel pencil in Midnight Blue, so I was able to get the glowy effect using the lightest shade of yellow, which actually is pretty white. It's like a warm kind of cream color. It's hard to see it on the video, but it's like a warm cream color, and then went in with the blue. I didn't record the entire thing because it took a little bit of time, but you can see how that turned out here. And I just did layer, probably 2-3 layers, I think, on top of that. Making sure to leave some of the cream color. Sorry, again, like working. I had such an issue trying to do this in my house. It's just easier outside with that type of lighting, and I have lighting and stuff when I do these videos, but it's just easier outside. So you'll see that I do a couple, I wipe a few times to get this a little cleaner, and then I go back over top of it. I actually kind of liked how it looked, honestly, with a little bit of that blue in there, and kind of wish I'd kept it, and you'll see what I mean at the end of the video. So now we're using the yellow. I believe this is the 20, oh gosh, I can't remember the numbers, but it's like the middle one. So 2021 maybe? No, I don't know. I don't even know. I'll have to put it in the bottom, but I like to talk and not read, so it just helps me to stay focused. So I started the bottom of the peacock with the brighter of all the yellows. This is kind of the mid-tone that they gave us. And I thought that with the blue would give me a really nice green, and it did. It definitely looks peacocky. I drew out some of the areas for the peacock feathers, utilizing the same color. I did mix this up a little bit. I used several different colors of this yellow, which I ended up learning was the best way to get that kind of mottled effect of feathers. I'm recording the entire thing, but I do sort of get to the point where I'm like, all right, this is a lot to watch. But if you're learning, really, I had an image of a peacock, And I did change it up a little bit, but it was definitely an inspirational photo that helped me to figure out exactly how these feathers look. Because, of course, in my mind, I don't really know. I mean, I've seen a peacock, I know what they look like, but I don't really remember what peacock's feathers look like. So, yeah. Keep getting the song that I play on my videos in my head. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. Y'all probably hate that song. I've heard it like so many times. Okay, so here's me like, uh, you know what I decided? I decided that I'm gonna change my name to Mommy Art. Mommy Art? Mama Art? I can't do anything where my kids don't interrupt me like 100 times. It takes me 6 times as long to do anything. I'm sure any moms understand that. It's like, I need lunch, I need breakfast, leave me alone, I don't want to feed you. Anyways, okay, so I'm using the blue, the midnight blue, and going back over some of these areas just to get that green, right? Because I had an olive green, but that doesn't really show up. I do use it, the olive green colored pencil on here to get, again, different effects. But the blue and the yellow really gave me the strongest, prettiest kind of green on here. And then I go in, once I get some of that done and sort of laid in there, and start going around the feathers with the different colors of yellow, going over top of it with the midnight blue. And I just did this and did this until I liked what it looked like. It wasn't, oh, and I used the lighter yellow as well to get some brighter pops. It really was pretty simple, other than the fact that I just had to go layer after layer after layer and build it up. But the overall result was just so pretty on that black background. I really, really loved it. So here I am putting my little soft feathers in all around my little peacocky feathers. And I played with this a good bit here. So you can see there's a 5 set of the Rembrandt soft pastels. I have a really hard time with these pastels. It's not that I don't like them. They're pretty. They look nice. I've never used them because I struggle with chalk. I have this like texture thing where when I draw with them, it kind of gives me the like willies. I got used to it, but it was so weird at the beginning to use them. The pencil doesn't bother me as much, but even that did. And I'll tell you that the pencil, I thought it would break easier, but I was able to use quite a lot of pressure on it. To get the areas like that I wanted bluer, and you'll see the areas I wanted bluer, I just used the lighter colored chalk. You know, the feathers that were wrapping around each other, I put a little shadow underneath. Yeah, I mean, kind of worked out. The picture had a little more like red in it, but I didn't have that option. I mean, obviously I could have used another pencil, but I try to stick with the tools that they send me. I feel like that's the challenge. So I try not to use anything. In fact, I don't. I haven't. I've done this for 3 months now, and I haven't used anything so far that wasn't in the box. The only thing I did once was I used a water brush because I didn't have something to put the color on, but it was still from an ArtSnacks box from the previous month. So I feel like that's fair. Fair enough, right? Tools you have to use, I feel like. I don't know. So yeah, here I am just going back over and over again, getting the color a little deeper. And really they're just like these little kind of arch type shapes. And then you can go in between. I wasn't super picky. I just knew that the feathers in between went around the bigger feather shapes, like the little eyeball shapies. I don't know, they look like eyeballs to me a little bit. I just have to watch my own work. So here I am just doing some of the like brown areas. The way I got the brown, like the darker green or the brown to pop, again, those were kind of the red tones that were in the image that I was looking at. I used the darkest pastel with the blue, which gave me more of like a brown color and a little bit of depth and shadow. Obviously I used the black that was in there, but I did go in with the brush pen later on to darken some of the darks. Because I lost them, mainly because of when you're using pastel, you get those like pastel shading bits. By the way, I'm really sorry if I'm sniffly. I put some stuff out in the yard today, and I think it drove my nose crazy, or maybe it was, I don't know, pollen, but. So I use the lightest color here to start creating the outside feathers, the like real fluffy feathers, utilizing the brighter yellow over top of it so that kind of popped through. I felt like it was a little too bright, the white. I liked it, but I needed that depth in there. And then sort of, obviously putting the dark back in the inside of the feathers so that it didn't look like it was just flat. By adding all the dimension in there and having the white pop through, it definitely made it look a little bit more three-dimensional. I mean, over the last 2 years, as I'm learning how to draw and paint, and I'm freaking loving it. It's like my favorite thing other than my children. And I'm a hairdresser by trade. I've been one of the best hairdressers in the area. I love doing hair. But after 20 years of doing it, I just kind of needed another little hobby. Hair's always been my hobby, but now this is, So I don't know, maybe drawing feathers is kind of natural for me. I don't know. So here I am kind of blending. I used my pinky to blend using the chamois to wipe off. I also use the chamois to kind of blend a few other areas, but also leaving some things unblended. It just looked more feathery. This is the brush that came in the Japanese calligraphy brush. Freaking love this brush. I like the color, but it's black, but it's not like super dark. It looks a little more natural. But I'm just putting some shading, some shadowing, some depth back in there because it had gotten a little light in the darker areas. I feel like it really made the colors pop a little more. And also you need those little dark areas and then the light spots to create the end of the feathers. So you do the dark area at the bottom and then in the little eyeball feathers and then the brighter yellow kind of on top. And this is where I clean up my mess. I started wiping it down. I used a very, very sort of almost dry chamois. It was damp. But that cleaned it up pretty good, and you can see how white it still is now in the center of the peacock. And I went back and forth. I wiped it a few times. I don't know, we'll see. Oh, here's the eyeball, sorry. So this is the actual silver pen by Edding, and it's more of a pen. It's shiny, but not overly shiny. And then I just did his little eye. It's a boy, because boys are colorful, peacocks, right? And just did some highlighting here and there. I added a few brighter kind of touches with the silver. So this is what I was talking about. I did wipe this off, but I still feel like it looked kind of chalky, mainly because I put, some of the pastel in there. But then I was like, I kind of liked it before. But I'm okay with it. I still think it looks good, and in person it actually looks like very cool. It definitely has a glowy kind of blue effect to it. But yeah, so this is that brush marker, and I did all week kind of play with calligraphy, just by the way. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.